Alright guys, it's Josh here. Man, I've been getting a lot of love and a lot of feedback and a lot of questions, about my journey the last year or so. Um, it's no big secret. I guess I've been doing a lot of self-improvement stuff, and over the last year, probably it's really been showing. And even more recently, to those of you that aren't like close to me or get to see me a lot, more recently over the last month, 2 months, has been my weight loss journey. And I'm getting a lot of questions about how I'm doing that, and techniques and practices and mental and emotional guidance. And really, it's hard for me to have answers because it's been a long journey. It's been my entire lifetime to get here. And so, to answer a lot of those questions, as cliche as it sounds, I think we gotta go all the way back to the beginning, right? So I just decided that I wanted to do a series. I don't know how many videos this could be. I'm not a self-help guy. I'm not any kind of guru or educated whatever. I'm just going to be somebody who's grateful to all of you, and quite frankly, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. I've been down a lot of roads that I owe. I owe a lot. I've taken a lot. I've destroyed a lot. I've done a lot. And I owe a lot. So maybe this series is only this video. Maybe it's 2. Maybe it's 10. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But this is the first one. So don't have high expectations, because I'm not going to edit it. We're just going to roll with it. And my intention here is to share stories that of stuff I've encountered in my lifetime. Maybe the lessons that I've learned then, or that I had learned then. And kind of after reflecting all these years later, what kind of lessons I can take away from them that could help people, help myself, and to live a more positive and productive life, ultimately, where you can find some peace and happiness, because that's the journey I'm on now. I've done a lot of shit. I grew up real horribly, and I took a lot of anger and pain out on society for a very long time. Which goes back to my earlier comment about I owe, because I owe a lot. I have a lot of amends to make. And maybe in some way these videos are that, in part. So if only 5 people watch this video and it only helps one person, or 5 million end up watching it, and it still only helps one person, it's worth, I guess it's worth me being brave right now and vulnerable and sharing this stuff with you guys. So I hope you appreciate it. I hope maybe it can help you out. And let's get started. So the first thing I really want to I'll talk about my childhood, and like some of the first memories I have as a child is growing up in the projects in the east side of Columbus, which at that time in the 70s was called Bellwood Court. Later, after a few ownership changes, it was called Greenbrier East. and dubbed or nicknamed by the police and the community in the 90s, long after we were gone, but in the 90s as Uzi Alley, for all the crime, drugs, murders, etc. that had gone on there. While we lived there in the 70s, it wasn't as bad as far as I can remember. I probably was probably some of my earliest memories, I was probably around 4 years old, and we lived there. And we were the minority. Wasn't too many white people there. So you learned some lessons early on. And first, before I go any further, this is not a things that I'm getting ready to say are not racial topics. They're not up for debate as to race stuff. I don't want to see any racist bullshit comments or anything either, because this applies to everybody. This just happened to be this situation I was in, and it'll make more sense in a minute. But we were the minority by far. So we lived in that. We felt that, you know. One of my early memories is having a big wheel and riding around on the sidewalks of the projects. And I had gotten a couple of buildings down when I wasn't supposed to. Down there someplace I wasn't supposed to be, where my mom couldn't see me, and you know, I ran up on a big wheeled my little ass down in front of like I don't know, 3 or 4 boys about my age, or maybe not much older. You know, I'm probably 4 at the time, and they're same age, 5, 6, not much older, if any. And they stopped me. Because they're kids, you know, they're kids, and I got a big wheel, you know, I think I had just gotten it or wasn't that old. So, you know, it was still kind of shiny and new looking, and we're in the projects, man. And I didn't know that at the time, but that ain't something you really do. You don't run around with shiny, new, nice stuff. Not that we had any money or anything like that, just occasionally nice stuff happens, and you don't go around people who don't have. So, you know, these kids, they wanted my big wheel, and I wouldn't get off of it. And I remember them, you know, using racial slurs against me and pushing me and punching me. And I'm white knuckled on those handlebars. I am not letting this big wheel go for nothing. And whatever the deal was, you know, they had surrounded me, and they want the big wheel, and I'm not getting off. I'm locked on it. And you know, it wasn't my first time hearing that kind of stuff, man, and or being treated that way. But the thing is, you know, it's kind of like pack mentality, or I didn't belong to their tribe. I was an outsider, and they were going to make sure I knew that. But there ended up being a gap where I could pedal away, and they chased me a little bit, and thankfully my mom had come around the corner looking for me. And so, you know, as soon as they saw her, of course there's an adult, they stopped what they were doing and ran off. And, you know, everything was okay. And then another memory I have there is, you know, we lived on a 3rd floor apartment, and so we would have to go down the fire escape to go outside and play in the grass. And we were out there playing, and for what I don't even remember, my sister, who's a year younger than me, she and I are out there playing, and I don't know what she said. There was these 3 black ladies that were walking by, and my sister walked over and said something, innocent or whatever, something that a 3-year-old would say to an adult. And I remember very distinctly, even to this day, for whatever reason, one of those 3 women told her, get the fuck away from me, you white bitch, and hit her with her purse right upside the head. I mean, my sister's 3 years old, and there's an adult doing this. And, all I could do was run upstairs. These other ladies, the other 2 are laughing, and they think it's funny, and I don't understand it, man. I'm a young kid. Nobody understands stuff like that, right? But I just knew, my people, my tribe, my people were in danger. My sister had been hit. She was crying. I remember going over and asking her if she's okay, and she's just crying, and she's like, yeah. And I run upstairs to get Mom, because that's what you do. And, we tell Mom what was happening. Well, these ladies were just walking across the street to the store, which you could see out our back window. So my mom waited for them to come back and confronted them about it. And I don't remember what the conversation was. It was short. And as mothers do, protecting their young, I do remember my mom beating the shit out of all 3 of them. And, I mean, handily and properly so, to be honest. But I look back at that, man, and I learned, I think about stuff like that now, and that's stuff that's always stuck with me my whole entire life, was because, in those moments, we did, learned, when you're an outsider, when you're not part of the bigger tribe in the community, you're not, you're the odd one sticking out, that you're trash, and that nobody cares about you, and that people will abuse and take from you and do whatever they want to you, and that all you have in life is your tribe. Wow. It's crazy. That, all these years later still gets to me, right? Fuck, 45-ish years ago. 46-ish years ago. But yeah, man, it's crazy. So, I learned at a very young age that, if you're not with us, you're against us, and you love and cherish and protect the ones that are with you to your death. No questions, no regard for your own safety or well-being, no regard for the enemy, and that everybody else is the enemy because you're the odd one out. You're trash. You don't matter. And, isolation is safer. You stay away from everybody, and you can't get hurt, you can't get abused, you can't get used and taken advantage of. And so then, sometimes that hurt turns into anger, and you take it out on other people. And really, man, it's fear. Nobody wants to be mistreated or misused for who they are. So it's taken me a long time. That's something I've carried with me my whole entire life. And it's crazy how at such a young age something like that could still be so impactful. And I tell you, it's just through a lot of self-reflection here lately and a lot of honest conversations with myself about things that I've experienced in life and how I've grown up that I've been able to look at that and dissect it a little bit to understand it. That, you know, for a very long time I've just allowed others to convince me that I was trash, that I wasn't worthy, and that they were the enemy, and they being everybody. So, you know, to tie that into today, what I can take away from that is that it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter if you're one silver marble in a sea of a million orange marbles. It doesn't matter. Other people's opinions of you don't fucking matter. You know your worth. You need to have these I've had these conversations with myself, you know, and it's really one of the things for me is I found my tribe, you know, and it's all of you guys. When I go to the racetrack, Lord knows I've had my share of turmoil and trouble, right? But man, when I go to the racetrack, it's all love. You are all my tribe. I have, after, you know, a bazillion years, I found my group of people who love me and protect me and have shown me my worth. And I'm grateful. You know, man, I've been on such a destructive path for such a long time. And it took racing and cars and the race community and some personal tragedy along the way, but it really took like a whole, it does take a tribe to save one person. So, you know, in the racing community, everybody that's out there, keep doing what you're doing, man, because I owe you guys. You know, a lot of you guys have shown me without any expectation, without any reason, without any anything. You guys have just shown me that I can meet a stranger and we can become very good friends in a very short amount of time, and I don't have to worry about them. And the racing community is just the greatest place on earth, if you ask me. So I probably babbled a little bit because it's the first one, probably isn't that good, and it's gone on way longer than I intended. But you know, I think the quick and the short moral of this is, man, you know when you're not with your people. When you don't feel good, you're not happy, you don't feel the love, you don't feel acceptance. So just remove yourself from that situation, whatever it is. They don't like you for whatever reason. Fine. Have a nice day. You'll live without them. Go find your people. There are groups out there, whether it's a group of 1 or 2 people or 1 million, who will love and accept you for who you are, who will welcome you into their lives, into their hearts, into their homes, into their smaller communities, without expectation, man, and with trust and love, and help fill your heart with joy and humility for me. It's just so humbling to have been able to experience that in such a great fashion, and to come to the realization where I accept that stuff, because sometimes that's a bitch too. Regardless of how you got there, sometimes you have to realize you're the problem. And you have to accept that shit, and you have to deal with that shit. And that's what I've done. Accepted it in no matter how I've gotten where I am, I'm the reason I'm here. The choices I've made, the way I've decided to react to situations is what got me to where I am. And that's also what's going to get me to where I'm going. So, I don't know, man. It was a good little thing for me. I hope it's something that's good for you. I hope it was halfway coherent and understandable. And I hope that all of you are blessed and find happiness. And if you're watching this, you're part of my tribe, period. No questions asked. Now, that doesn't mean that necessarily, I have all the time in the world to hang out or any of that stuff. Sometimes you guys don't ever take it that way. Like when I'm at the track or something, I'm working and I'm busy. But if you met me, I accept any and everyone. I love you all, and I appreciate all of you, because you guys saved my life. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.